Good afternoon. My name is Chris McKenna. I am from IT Managed Solutions. We're based out of Florida, so I'm lucky to be here. I spent the last week in South Carolina avoiding a little small hurricane, but luckily it moved out of the way of where I live, and I was able to come back and join us. What I'm going to talk to you about is my company is doing outsourcing for a company named Gardner Denver. They're a large corporation around the world. They do manufacturing of pumps and numerous other things. But we bid on a project to take over their SAP environment, and it was a migration into a new data center and consolidation, as well as we were doing a re-platform of SAP. So ITMS, I started with IBM about 25 years ago. Well, more than, I guess I was with IBM 25 years ago, and I exited IBM in 2016 and established this company. Gardner Denver, they're founded in 1859, worldwide provider of industrial equipment. They have a revenue of about $1.9 billion a year. They actually just went public recently. What they had before was Gardner Denver does a lot of consolidation, or excuse me, a lot of acquisitions, and so they've brought in a lot of different companies, and so the IT was very segregated all over. So they put together a project that we were involved in, but their major project was called Internet 2.0. Sorry, it was called Technology 2.0 or something of that nature. But what they were trying to do was bring everything as they could from all of their dispersed data centers into a single data center, as well as have a DR center that is located in Germany. So what our job was to help them build that environment. And we ended up choosing Zabbix to consolidate their monitoring. They didn't have anything, surprisingly enough, that was kind of a central hub, central dashboard. So we sort of had a green field in that I didn't necessarily have to convince the client to go open source or to go away from something else. It's just what I bid. I had previous experience with Zabbix. I liked the product. We put it in front of them, and they were happy with that. They have 3 data centers now. One is in Chicago, one's in Dallas, and one's in Fürstenfeldbruck in Germany. We used the V-Block system in all of them. It's a Dell EMC Unity and with an Avamar backup. So the environment now, building typical Zabbix in 3-tier environment, or 4 if you consider the proxy. We have the hardware equipment that's being SNMP monitored at the top, and then they have all of a VMware environment that the rest of their SAP servers or any supporting servers, file servers, things of that nature that they consolidated into Chicago. We use VictorOps after the trigger, and there's another slide here I've got on the piece, but the VictorOps goes to my operations team and allows you to do the on-call rotation and things of that nature. Folks that haven't used it before, it's a very useful tool, but what happens is the trigger goes and contacts VictorOps, and then VictorOps finds out, based on how that trigger comes forward, who it should go to, who's on call for that particular issue. The other piece is once it also goes into VictorOps, the client uses ServiceNow, so tickets raised also in ServiceNow. We don't have bi-directional communication, so we do have to go back. If the ticket's closed in ServiceNow, we have to go back and close it or acknowledge it in Zabbix, but it's something that we're looking into so that you can have full transparency back and forth between the two tools. Prior to 3, we are on 3.2, so we did go with putting in Grafana for the client. This is a slide typically on what we have, the server, the proxy, and SNMTP proxy. We used MySQL. The overall environment, probably should have said that before, the overall environment, they start out right now with about 300 servers that are mostly located in Chicago in the United States, and then they have another 600 that are wrapped around the world that we're in the process of migrating onto the monitoring environment, and as well as all the network equipment that makes up. We're using the WebSphere monitoring, some of the charts that the guys, there's 250 VMs actually at that moment that I built these charts, 25 EXX hosts, 14 data stores, and 3 server escalation tiers. The client has priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3, so we've got those set up within Zabbix, so when it fires off the alert, we know whether or not we've got to jump because we got a fire or whether or not we can wait till the next day. The SNMP monitoring, we're using all of the kind of the hardware gear that's sitting there, the Avamar appliance, the MC Unity, the Cisco UCS, and the data domain, so that we can see what's going on with those pieces in all 3 data centers. And so we, excuse me, we set up the monitoring to send those back and hit the Zabbix server. We did do the integration with Grafana, even though now with the 3.4 we'll probably look to maybe pull this out of the equation, but one of the reasons was so that we could get some flexibility to offer a customized dashboard for the client itself. I am like what in orange, the system admins were there. We are the system admins, so the client on the other end is more like my business partner, or not my business partner, but a business level. So they're really sort of interested in more of a dashboard if they want to go in and take a look. They have a few IT people still in their CIO office. And so we gave them something that we could customize, and that's why we chose Grafana. Now with 3.4, having a little more flavor in that, we might be able to take that out. Some of the benefits that we saw: clear and accessible system data, organized alerting structure, and custom scheduling and escalation. They didn't have any of this before, so it's sort of a huge benefit for them. They've been rather pleased so far, and we are working to try to go up the stack. Today we're only really monitoring at that OS layer, and we're pushing up to help them with the application layers that are there. At this point, the relationship that we have is I handle OS down, so we don't handle the application. But it's something that we know that Zabbix can do that, and we'll be working to try to get them to put that in. They now have 24/7 monitoring, historical data, lab server information access, and weekly reporting. They didn't have any of this on a dispersed set of servers that were in multiple data centers, closets, and wherever else before. And that's all I had.
Okay, so questions, and I'm kindly asking my colleagues to stand up. That's from the cameraman, because we want to see you while you're reading the questions. Yeah,
so we actually have 2 questions. There was a Zabbix SNMP proxy listed on the slides. How actually was the SNMP monitoring implemented in your case?
You would ask me that, Dimitri. I don't know that I understand the question on how it was implemented, but my team that put it together, there is the device itself points at that and sends its SNMP traps to it, I believe. You might be better off answering that question than me, theoretically. But it was, I don't know that I can actually tell the details on that.
Okay, then we could go with the next question, which is, did you make a choice between the VictorOps and PagerDuty?
I did. That's an interesting question. So I looked at both of them, and I chose VictorOps for cost. That particular module is on me, not on the client. And from a cost reason, VictorOps was more economical than PagerDuty.
Thank you. And we just got one last question. How do you generate the weekly reports? Is it some kind of third-party tool?
In Grafana. They snapshot it in Grafana and hand it to the client.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? No questions? Then thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks. I get another one?